All right, sorry for that. We had a very break transmission just a few minutes. Sorry for that. While we were talking, I didn't know the network just cut off and we had a very short break in transmission. So meanwhile, what we're talking about is on the JBP, JPY, while we're after the gold analysis. So we'll be going back to JBP, JPY. So JBP, JPY this evening, we're actually looking at a bullish trend, not until a few minutes and the tail just went down to a reversal, but overall direction from the weekly, we are still looking up for a buy, but I think it broke this resistance and reversed back to maintain a reversal. So that means the retracement happened. So as it were, there was a break in this resistance. So the market reversed back and we are looking at possible a continuation for a sell. But meanwhile, we can't actually enter this trade for now until we are sure of what the overall trend is doing. But meanwhile, for now, we'll wait until in the next in 4 hours time frame, we want this market to perform clearly that it's breaking this retest. Then once that happen, then we can continue to go for a sell. Right? But we need to be sure this trend line will be broken before we can have an entry, because on the 1 hour time zone we have this is on the 1 hour, we have a trend line at this zone. So if this market able to retest this, we might be heading up for a buy again. If not, we'll continue to go for a sell. But from the look of things, we need to wait until this market break this trend line before we can actually have a system like this. Then get to this zone, possible break the zone, then retest them, we can now go for a sell. Or if it happens like this, then we'll go for a buy. So that means it's of two ways. If it doesn't happen that way, now this market we have to perform in a system where it's coming to retest this, then continue to go up. So let's wait until there is a clear confirmation of this. When there is a clear confirmation of this, then we can decide to know the direction we have to go for. But meanwhile, for now, we don't need any trade on the JBP, JPY. But meanwhile, for those of us who are not actually a trend trader, what we have been having all through the weeks, it has been an uptrend. You can see this lower low, which we have a double, triple bottom here. And this triple bottom confirmed that this market is going to change a direction by having one touch, second touch, and third touch. At this third touch, there was a clear move. Not until there was a break in change of character at this zone, then we wait for a retest, then before we enter this buy. And at this level, we expect this market to range here, possibly have a double top for a reversal, but that didn't happen. Then it continues to move up. But you can see this, there was a clear move downward, believing that this market was going to have a sell, but it didn't do that. It continued to move up again. Now we have this trend line. This trend line has confirmed that the market has been doing lower high, high and higher high, lower high, higher high, lower high, higher high. So that shows that all what we have is an uptrend. So we expect this market to come back and retest this trend line for a bullish continuation. That is why we're having the but if not, we have to confirm this trend line broke. And if that's confirmed that the trend line has already been broken, we have a retest, then that means there's going to be a change of direction for this JBP, JPY. We will now be heading for a sell. But as it is now, we are still looking up for a continuation of a sell until there's a change of trend direction. Then we can now confirm that the market is on a sell level. Meanwhile, we are not going to take this trade until there is a proper confirmation on this. I hope that is clear. So if you have any confirmation, anything to say about this, please feel free to comment below on our um on our YouTube channel, or you can check DataPoint online on Telegram to subscribe, so that at any time we have this kind of analysis, you will not miss it out. So now, as it was now, we are going to be looking at more of commodity analysis. Especially for those of us who trade gold, as at the time I was trying to do analysis on gold, a lot of us were not online. So I'll be taking back the gold analysis again so that we can all see what we have for gold. So let's check gold once again for those who might miss it out, who are just joining us. Now, this is what we have for gold today. In fact, I entered this gold for a buy yesterday. I was expecting a very bullish continuation after this break of this zone. Then we expect a retest, and that retest was confirmed somewhere here, and we expected a bullish to continue. But fortunately, it got to this zone, it reversed back. So what do we now do? We had to check. Let me remove this so that you get it right. So we have to use this trend line to mark the first zone touch, and also mark the second touch, right? As we have that, that confirms to us that this market might still continue for a bullish trend, because this was just a fake out. As at this evening when we saw this, I was telling some of my traders that look, this might be a fake out, because it might not really overall direction for what I'm saying is a bullish trend. So now it comes back here. What we are going to be expecting this to do is for us to actually have a system where this market is just trying to confuse us. You see, this was a fake out. Now it break the trend line, retrace back. Then we are expecting another bullish to continue. Another bullish is going to continue. Now at this point, for those of us who may likely want to trade, you can go back to your 30-minute or your 15-minute, depending on your time frame you use, and watch the candle confirmation before you entered. But for me, I always use 1 hour for my confirmation. I will wait for a change of direction. Maybe this market has to possibly move up again to this zone. Then a retest, I will now go for a buy. That is where I will trade this market. I won't enter now. Please don't enter now. This is what I'll be expecting. Once there is a break of change of character at this zone, let me mark this. So once there is this break of character, then we expect a pushback. Once that pushback is confirmed, then we can now continue for a bullish, right? So that is what we are expecting the market to do. But at this point, we might not really have any entry position for now. But let us not enter until we are sure that the market is very sure and very convinced, right? So thank you. So let's see how we can take the next trade again. Let's check for, I think we mentioned some trade we're going to be looking at. We said NAS 100, SAU USD, JPP USD, JPP JPY, USD JPY, S&P 500. Now let's take NASDAQ. Let's go and check NASDAQ. NASDAQ is also one of the best indices I believe on, and it's a very good pair to trade. Now at this point, we're going to have, let's do a thorough check on NASDAQ. Overall direction, we have, let's go back to weekly. Preferably, I will have to remove all the drawing here. So we have a range. This is what Nasdaq has been doing. We have a range, but for me, Nasdaq is going to be a bullish system because why? We have the US and the World Cup that is actually going on is supporting a lot of tech industry today, and a lot of companies are on a good trend, and the US dollar is on a good position. So it shows that Nasdaq will be bullish because of this World Cup that is actually going. And you know what made up a Nasdaq is the best 100 companies in the US that makes up a Nasdaq. So now let's check. For me, what I'm seeing here on the weekly is a ranging level. So if we go back to, let's mark our resistance at this point, and let's take our support at this point, right? Sorry. We take our support somewhere here. Now we can also mark our next support somewhere here. Then we mark our key level. We have a key level somewhere here. Now these are the areas where we'll be expecting a reaction to happen as long as Nasdaq is concerned. So this is what we have on the weekly basis for now. Now let's check what the daily is telling us. The daily is actually giving us a ranging level, shows that there is no direction for now. There is no a clear direction for Nasdaq, because if you can see, if there is any breakout, we expect a breakout maybe somewhere here to have a retest, then a bullish, right? But if that does not happen, this ranging level have to confirm to us that the market is not ready to go further. You want to maintain this. For me, I will allow this market to possibly come back and break this zone at this level. Once this zone is broken, then we wait for a retest. That means there's a change of character at this zone, which is also here. Then we cannot enter a sell downward to this level. But my thought over this is that there may likely not be this kind of a bearish, because Nasdaq is actually doing very well with the coming in of SpaceX, with the coming in of the World Cup, with the coming in of all the athletes and all the activities, and all the sports spectators are engaged in the US and the Canada and other neighboring countries. A lot of tech industries are making wave on the bullish side. So that means, for me, overall direction after this range, we should be looking at more of a buy, right? So if you are going to confirm fully on what you expect, we have to go back to 4 hours to check what the 4 hour is doing to us. The 4 hour is still showing that we are still on the range. Nothing has actually happened. Nothing has happened. So now this range, for me, we can't take this except those who want to trade on support and resistance on the ranging level. That is your own, but I don't normally take that until there's a break of trend, there's a break of structure, there's a break of point of interest, then we cannot look for another direction. Now let's look at our 1 hour zone. The 1 hour is still clear that market is not really giving us any direction. If we are to use a trend line to check if a scalpers can take this, so if we are to trade this on the scalping level, it shows that we have to take a very short entry to a sell, because we'll be looking at this direction for market to come back to, possibly come back here as it's happening like this, right? It comes back, then it retests. If there's any level for this market to come back here, you can sell down to this. That is a short one for those who are going to be using 15 to 30 to 15 minutes time entry level. So that clears the direction of this Nasdaq. But for now, let's wait for a clear direction for a bullish, possible to market to come back to the zone retest, then we go for a buy. That is my overall direction of this trade for Nasdaq. Now let's check USD JPY. USD JPY has been so funny of recent. We were on this trade. I think we exited this trade few yesterday or thereabout, where we noticed that we're actually looking at this market to get to this zone for the point of interest there, this level, for us to take our profit. But fortunately, it's reversed back. When we look at this bearish trend, we decided to pull off so that we don't come back to our entry level. So meanwhile, the overall direction is still, let's check on the weekly base. So what we have on weekly is that we had an all-time high that was actually broken, but there was this massive retracement. As that the massive retracement happened, so the market kept ranging. That was why we have that breakdown on the bullish that we're expecting. But meanwhile, while we're not expecting the bullish for now, let's see how this market is able to come back to take this high off, then we can continue to go for the high, the bullish again. So that means if we're going to use the trend line, so this may likely be the next exit for us or entry for us. But for me, I think we need to look at the overall direction to wait until there is a full confirmation of entry. For now, I would really advise you trade this market because the overall direction is not clear until this high, until this market take up this high, come back possible, then we can go for a buy. If not, if the market come back here again, we'll have a double top as a resistance, then we can now see maybe movement of a candle confirmation in between this, then we can go for a sell. That is the direction. But meanwhile, always check carefully and very technically before you can take any entry of this level. It's not really that easy for you to take a trade, but you must follow technicality of a trade to enter any market. So we have just done about JBP USD, JBP JPY, USD JPY. Then we have also talked about Nasdaq, and let's look at S&P 500. Or if you have any pair in mind and you want us to discuss, just comment on the comment below, then we will take it up. SPX. SPX also referred as S&P 500, and we all know how S&P 500 moves. Most times they move with the same process of Nasdaq because they are the same. Most of the companies are part of the best US 100 tech and US manufacturing or other companies that are in US. So sometimes they move the same. And we were actually looking at this reversal of S&P 500 to drop. But over the weekend, we had this jump. This jump, likely we got to this level, then we're expecting a sell back to this zone. But fortunately, it didn't maintain it. The market kept going up. So what we'll be looking at is we will be looking at this zone since it did not get here. Then we want this market to come back to retest this zone again. Then we can now confirm what is happening between this place. Then we go for a buy. They say not a buy. Now, but for so far so good, we are seeing some technical analysis on the candlestick. If you check the candlestick, let's go back to 1 hour. If you check the candlestick, you find out that the candle formation is actually not that bullish any longer. It shows that the candle, the buyers are getting weak. It's more of the sell. But we don't know. We were expecting the World Cup will support the S&P 500, the US pair, and NASDAQ will be having more of bullish. But for now, I will not advise anybody entering this trade until you get to this zone. But now let's check if we can actually use the trend. So it shows that we have this trend, this bullish trend that is actually trying to come up. But if this market, the way it's going to go, since it's coming from a trend that was bearish in this zone, so we likely see another clear entry somewhere here to continue to buy. So this is what we're going to be looking at. For me, overall direction for S&P 500 is still a bullish, while the NASDAQ is also still bullish. So that is what I am seeing presently on S&P 500. But if you have any observation or objection, please do comment below. Subscribe to our YouTube page. We normally have every Tuesday 7 p.m, Thursday 7 p.m, Saturday 10 a.m. every week on this free training on our forex and tech. And we also give live training on tech. Like this afternoon, we had data analysis for free. Those of us who want to learn, you can check our pages. We did a very fantastic analysis on data analysis, and the same thing with cyber security. All these things can be part of what you will benefit from our channel while you subscribe and share, so that you will always have, anytime we share this kind of analysis, we will have a very good opportunity to be part of it. But meanwhile, let's look at fundamentals for tomorrow. Let's check what we have for fundamentals tomorrow before we end this class for today. We normally use Forex Factory. Today, there was no major news. Today, 7th, there was no major news today, but we just had a very slight FOMC, and USD pairs has a very light news, but was not really active. Now let's check tomorrow, Wednesday. So tomorrow we have, it's more of NZDs that are more active, which are the ROB NZ rate statement for NZD 4 a.m, 3 a.m, and in the evening we'll be having FOMC meeting minutes on the USD for 7 p.m. We also have SMB Chalmers Shelling Speaks, which is the CHF. Those ones might not really have much effect, but meanwhile, that does not mean you will not consider your risk management. Your risk management is very, very important. Don't risk above within 1 to 2%, or if you have a good account, 1 to 3% of your account. That will be very manageable. And remember, your stop loss, your take profits, they are very, very essential, which is risk to reward will be within 1 to 2, maximum 1 to 3, because sometimes if you are pursuing 1 to 3, you may not know when the market reverse back or your profit will go. But 1 to 2, but in most cases, if you want to swing, you can do 1 to 2, have some little peep below, and close your entries as your break even. Then you can allow your market to swing. If you are seeing a direction that is going to continue for a buy or for a sell, that gives you more opportunity to enjoy more money when you trade. So, my dear viewers, we have done very good analysis to S&P 500, JBP. Okay, I think we have not done JBP USD. Let's check. I think that is the only pair that is left. For those of us who trade JBP USD, that is the last pair we'll be doing now. Now we're going to go back to our weekly to check our direction. So on our JBP USD, we actually not having much to do. We are just, it's still on the range. still on the range. So the entry level here may not really be fantastic, but we'll just take it as a range. So meanwhile, this is a range. At this zone, we are going to wait for a breakout from the weekly, but let's check what the daily is doing or telling us. On the daily, so this is what we're having on the daily. It shows that this market might likely retest this and drop. So, but we can't take any entry until there is a breakout on this trend. So sometimes we make it very simple so that we don't too over expect too much analysis that will get us confused. So for those of us who are scalping, we can actually still expect this market on this zone for a buy, or wait for a proper breakout, because at this zone we are expecting this market possible to come back here, then we wait for possible retest, then we can sell, or we're going to wait till where there is a proper breakout at this range. But for meanwhile, this is not a good entry now. Let's watch what we can get to see what happen on the upper zone and the lower zone. But overall direction is a range. The market is not really too clear. But let's see within now Wednesday, on Thursday, we might have a directive, a direction for us to have an entry level for either a buy or a sell. But meanwhile, always have a full confirmation before your entry. Don't rush your entry, because when you rush your entry, you find out that you might be losing out a lot of opportunity and having losses back to back because you just want to take a trade. So that is the last pair for today. So I want to thank every one of us that are with us, that we appreciate. Click the our telegram below on our bio to subscribe to our telegram, where you can also follow us on our tech and forex analysis. My dear brothers and sisters, peace out. Thank you for joining us and have a wonderful day ahead. God bless you. 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 Bye. Sorry, I think the network is giving me some issue for me to exit here.